Well, here we are on the home front. My latest acquisition I finally got running. This video is going to be about something I've been thinking about for a long time. I don't know how much longer I'm going to continue to put up content on YouTube, but this is something that is just really bugging me. Yeah, the natives are restless. Anyway, I had a conversation with someone in this Discord group that I'm a part of, and he was talking about, it didn't sound like a militia group, it's more like what I call a mutual assistance group, and how things went south. And I've been involved in this crap for a long time. I got interested in the Patriot movement just right about the time the siege at Mount Carmel in Waco, Texas happened. No, I'm not saying David Koresh was a great guy, but the government response to it wasn't so great after all. And about the same time, Vicki Weaver got her brains blown out by FBI sniper Ron Harlucci, and he did not spend a single day in jail. The only weapon Vicki Weaver had in her hands was the baby that she successfully completed a 9-month waiting period for. I thought about this, and even back then, I really believed the final nails were being driven in our republic's coffin. But I couldn't ever find anybody who quite thought along the same lines I did. And the internet wasn't quite as prevalent then as it is now. Yes, my age is showing. Well, I eventually made contact with a militia group. The Mississippi militia was helping a man protect his land, his home, because the Memphis airport wanted to extend its runway, and for some reason the FAA thought homes needed to be evacuated or seized under eminent domain miles and miles and miles away from the airport. It just didn't add up. So the city of South Haven, Mississippi, used eminent domain to buy up the houses around there, and then they destroyed them and turned it into like a little park and a some sort of golf driving range or some crap like that. But one guy, he wanted to fight them in court. He wanted his day in court, and he put up a fight. And the city took it upon themselves to threaten to drive a bulldozer through his house, arrest him, and seize his private property, all without charge, just under the magical clause of eminent domain. I'm sure there are a few people that watch my videos or kind of look at my videos and will go, "Oh, our heroes! How dare that man! Don't you know the government needs that land?" Anyway, the militia saw to it that he got his day in court. Yeah, there are some people, you know who you are. Those people are extremists. They shouldn't have opposed the government like that. Don't they know what's good for them? That just gives us honest gun owners a bad name. Man, just go get on your knees and suck Sean Hannity's dick already. Anyway, the militia went as far as to chain themselves to this guy's house to stop them from wrecking the house until he had his day in court. Well, he had his day in court, and of course, when you're fighting the man in his court, in front of his judge. You can guess how it went. Yep, guy lost his home, and immediately the police and the feds swoop in, and they seize his private property. They put it in a hangar out at the airport and make the man pay storage fees long after. It took him a while to find out where his stuff actually was. And he owned gold bullion. He had silver bullion. And of course, all this leaks out to the press. And the press are running stories about this guy, right-wing extremist. This guy owns silver. He owns gold. Oh my God. How terrible is that? Okay, the guy had real money. Anyway, getting past that, that started my path down this road. And for years I tried to contact the Mississippi militia and never got an answer out of them. And I finally found a website called modernminuteman.net. I would love to shoot my neighbor's dog. That's all that motherfucker does all night. Anyway, there was a website called modernminuteman.net, and I made contact with some guys up in Kentucky, and they don't claim to be a militia. And I would work a 12-hour shift, drive 13 hours to this place way the heck out in eastern Kentucky. I swear I'm going to shoot this dog. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm back in the front yard. Yep. The natives are restless. Anyway, but I got some really good training with these guys. I learned a lot about myself. I think the guy, he's some sort of ex-military. I don't know what he is. But I'm going to go into, this is going to be a long-winded rant. The difference between patriots spelt P-A-Y, and LARPers, which stands for live action role players, which that's the category most people who call themselves militia really are. Just to get to the training area, just to get to the CP, you got to climb a damn mountain to get there. And I was talking to the guy, and he says, yeah, we're not militia, we're just concerned citizens training together. I'm like, okay, I can buy into that. He goes, yeah, you can spot the militia people when they show up. You'll see them drive up here, and yes, they'll drive to the training to the FTX as it's called, in their BDUs. Get there, get out of the car, and realize, holy crap, I'm going to have to climb that to get up there. Then they get in their car and go home. That is a militiaman for you in most cases. Yeah, I know I'll make some people mad, but that's been my experience. I would travel up there fairly often to train, but I eventually got hurt up there, shattered some bones, got lots of metal in my body. Yeah, falling while you come down a mountain is not fun. And then I got finally contacted by the Mississippi militia. It was awful. I was with them for a few years, and it was nothing more than a bunch of LARPers, or the social club as some people called them. Yeah, LARPer stands for live action role player. These people will come out there start the day with a clean set of fatigues or whatever you wear, clean battle rattle, and other than breaking a sweat from standing around under the sun, they'll go home with a clean uniform, clean weapon, and clean battle rattle. Yeah, we don't want to break a sweat. No, no, sir, ever. Their idea of training is they had a marked 100-yard range, and they had a table there. And behind the table, they had like a vinyl padded bench seat, like out of an old conversion van or something. And they would sit in the seats, bench rest their rifle on the table, and shoot really great, tight groups that way. And then pat each other on the back and talk about how hard they trained that day. Oh yeah, they might occasionally eat an MRE. Do you see where I'm going with this, folks? But yeah. And these what to look for. Yeah, this rant's going somewhere, because I know people are really concerned at this point because our country is dying. I talked to my representative's office today and told them they should refund all the taxpayers' money because they are failing miserably at their job. Like the trouble they went through to kill all the people in Waco, kill Randy Weaver's wife, to kill Lavoy Finicum, their response to the Hutchery militia. That's going to be, you'll hear about them again in my rant. All these missteps the government's taken to deal with some uppity citizens. Don't you find it amazing how Antifa can seize 6 city blocks of Seattle, Washington, and nothing is done? Is it me, or is there just something weird about that? Yeah. You notice how they'll let the cities burn and whatever? I saw this disturbing image of National Guardsmen kneeling before this disorderly mob. If I were part of that unit and I got an order to kneel, that would be the day I got my dishonorable discharge. They're surrendering. Anyway, but those of us patriots who want to help each other out, but by the law of the internet, anybody you'd be interested in helping is hundreds or thousands of miles away, would like to reach out to each other and be mutually helpful to each other. But it's very difficult to do, so I'm going to give you some tips about what to do if you make contact with a patriot group in your area. Maybe you won't get burned. Number 1, do not put your name on anything. If you have people that want you to sign a roster, want you to sign some contract or some agreement with them, and like to run a background check on you or something like that, run, don't walk. That's more than likely what we called a honey trap. It'd be real easy for you to if you just voluntarily gave them your name and contact information, where you live, your phone number, and yet you don't know anything about these people. How do you know you're just not giving your name to the federal government? How do you know you're just not signing your own entry into an FBI watch list? Trust me, I will talk about this again later. If you're hanging around a bunch of patriots and they start talking about money, like dues or something like that, you need to ask very pointed questions about who is the treasurer, what is the money being spent on. There are some people that are patriots simply because it's profitable for them to be so. And once you're in a group, as soon as anybody starts talking about doing illegal crap, like, hey, I got a bunch of AR-15 receivers. Why don't y'all come over to my house tonight and I'll show you how to convert them to M16s. There is your undercover ATF or FBI agent. He just tipped his hand. Hey, let me show you. Hey, why don't you guys come over here? We'll learn how to make some satchel charges and whatnot. There is your plant. They are compromised. Get the hell away from them. Sorry, the battery was dying. Yeah, stay the heck away from them. Then you'll have another problem that militias have is the lack of effective leadership and the lack of discipline of their members. Yeah, these people want to dress up and play soldier. Now, I hate to sound like I'm painting all militias with a broad brush. I'm just going by my personal experiences. They all want to dress up like G.I. Joe and go hang out in the woods or whatever, but when it's time to do real stuff or do effective training, you have to train as you fight. If part of your plan is to be out in the field, you need to stay out in the field as much as you can. You need to put your equipment through its paces to find out what its limits are. You know, when you see, if you've got someone in your group and he's like, man, I don't want to do that. I got to clean my weapon afterwards. He's not going to be there for you when the balloon goes up. But sadly, this is going to be about 50% of the Patriot community. I'm almost willing to bet my paycheck on it. Now, what's even worse than the traitors among us, they are what Joseph Stalin called the useful idiots. You will always have one or two of them in a group. They mean well, but you know what the road to hell is paved with? It's paved with good intentions. Birchers fall into this category. That's an old term for the John Birch Society promoted the resistance to tyranny through pacifism. So you'll have some guy in your group and he will be the preachiest one of the group. And like, no, we can't advocate for violence. They'll be the real PC type, but yet they've joined a militia. I'm sorry. These people are actually more detrimental to the group than anything because they're not really an enemy, but they're very disruptive because they get in the way of getting things done. Some of these people live in a fantasy land. I remember one time in a group chat one night, I'm like, yeah, all this stuff is going to work great, but until when the enemy brings in air assets, we're going to be so screwed. And he's like, I never really thought about that. I'm like, yeah, you don't. If the enemy has attack helicopters, you don't think they would use them? I hear the crickets chirp. Yeah, I know this is this thing is just really rambling, but I just don't know how to communicate this stuff and be more specific and not end up in jail or something. You see, you talking about being a conservative and willing to defend your rights, that will get you on the radar really quick. That will get you swatted in the middle of the night. That will get you disappeared. But you could be a member of Antifa and take over part of a city and nothing will happen to you. Kind of makes you wonder if, think about it. The federal government has not responded to this. They are a designated terrorist organization, and they have committed an open act of armed rebellion. And the city government has stood down. Since since the city and state government are aiding and abetting a known terrorist organization, does that not make them enemy collaborators? I asked my Congress critters representative that today. He couldn't give me a straight answer. And if they are enemy collaborators, can't they be dealt with as such? But no one's really wanting to move against them. I wonder why. There's something definitely wrong going on here, and I hope in my pointless wandering around in this conversation, you folks may have found something useful. Anyway, don't forget to like or whatever, and y'all have a good night.